Thank you. Yes, that's a big pop of it all, right?
All right, next up. I wish I could tell you more about Andy, but we just met for the first time in person tonight. I know that he ferments things, which is great because I'm an advocate of all forms of fermentation. And he's also a poet. He's got some books up front. I was looking through them beforehand, and they're very cool. Friends of mine are friends of Andy's and recommended he come, so I've been really looking forward to hearing what you have to do. And Andy Gricevich.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks.
Yep.
Jay, thanks. Nick, that was amazing. Thanks, players. That was also amazing. I'm really glad to be here. I haven't been here in about since I was writing the poems that make up this book, which I just threw together. The last time I was writing regularly was before I became a parent, which was about 6 years ago. And it's starting to happen again. But so the other day I just pulled out this journal from my desk and I looked at it and I was like, I like everything in here, which is like never the case for me. Poems last a year maybe for me, and then I was like, ugh, yeah. But so I barely changed them, and I made this book, which has 2 titles. It's called 34 Second Favorites on the front. And then on the inside it says, these are really actually unsarcastic love poems, analysis complete. So I'm going to set my timer, like a responsible person, in imitation. And my 6-year-old son helped hand stitch these. He's better at it than I am. He was really into it. He has smaller fingers and better eyes. But his ear is no better than mine. All right, we're rolling. So I usually make a set list, but I didn't this time because I was being bothered by a 2-year-old the entire time. So I've got some Post-its. I'm going to flip around and read some of these things, which I think are pretty silly. And I might say some things in between that aren't in the book, if I feel like it. So from 34 Second Favorites, these are really actually unsarcastic love poems. I did the loving kindness meditation for you, and this is the thanks I get. Too sarcastic to outlast its utterance, but here we are, walking the first dog in space. As if the stones were made of wine, queer and wild, unable to wipe the smile off her 4 days clean lateness, stilled as air. They make a space together in the ear, and that space is full of room, a place to live in hollows around tongues. In the language of prayer, what is all this about making out of state? When you can hear the growing of the resinous trees, sprouts seem to fall off horribly by the orange cat I think is selfish on the hassock. Blinded by the imaginary blankness of the page, its tangled bow and mirrored hoary head, the whole air will be full of creaking hymns I've been paid to play, as if they would apprehend some joy at an ideal sight. The rocks and trees, and then the return to cares and ways. Much could be said of this reason that runs through dry land, from which the point has never been escape. I/you look like strawberry shortcake, or you really do, as we never share a moon, even in combination, as a melody falls apart from an accompaniment, and arriving in a male comfort falls into fine with failure or meeting words. The neighbor's pants are out there. The past terms laid a hard time on a legitimate writing. That took lawyers, chickens, greens, and wild rice, and still it did not come to pass. It's that words have a song they maybe haven't found, and questions do the work where the truth claims have flaked off their harmony. There being kinds of song that can't endure that fissure. The guys next door are quietly listening as they paint the decorate overhang next door in the gray getting cold next door. Having anybody's baby and making up the best present is probably a grouchy moment for the way time's wing flees sleep. Ms. Ella Telephone will not be singing for us tonight. There's a demo indented to end corruption in the anti-corruption industry. It's a cooking demo. All eggs. Legs. This one was written in collaboration in a moving vehicle with my partner Nora and her daughter Yevka. There's the shade of the moon, and then there's eggs behind the moon. That's how people put the stuff in the thing. So far that's inaccurate, thank goodness. What happened was the wet blue building fell from the blue sky out of perfect camouflage and into super minimalist shoes, as well as numerous beliefs hard to bear, or hard to lack: beans, bees, street trees, I know like the back of my ear, itches. Who even cares about nutrition when we have a pile of healthy skulls? Beavers regard with extreme and understandable skepticism. This unfortunately non-beaver can only say for itself, I don't work, I only sleep and seethe while hills steel themselves with some embarrassment. I just told you I'd adopt your steel dirt, but it's too satisfying to do anything because of the evil imagination of no weather that works so diligently for other planets. We're almost done with planets, but here are some whispers and suggestions. The moons of Septum, Alvigina, Custer Alpha, Nova Minor, Headlight, all new, all shipping in the near enthusiastic future, in the near enthusiastic sky, available to the lowest bidder. How about it is your second favorite? Don't settle, settler. Just drive relentlessly in white cars with very hideous headlights toward the second best. Maybe even of a superior quality. Probably no boss has brought these things together. Nobody has tried this boss on for incremental raises, for acres after miles, which is a great non-decision. Let's consider the thought that hides the whole deal and itself and makes it scary. A scary twin to the quiet spot we can't find that ratchets down on trying to think it every time. But take it out of the question. It's easy. Did somebody say that already? Yeah, but under very different circumstances, which we'd have to get back to if we want to catch up with the dying, not to numb ourselves too hastily or lose sight of how to spell anything. Instead, let's head south on or along the river and not grow or develop product. That'll leave space for time, not both, for a hint of what you meant, simmering for very long. A question that can only be put in terms that don't make sense, and any present enough to make sense of any refusal of its answer, like a pig tells me jokes that put me to sleep in the theater of operations and pretend to get them until I become very confused about how a given song got taken into my head, which is sore, and maybe the soreness summoned the tune while I wasn't thinking. I can't even count the one. I can steep it, and I can hold up the rock uniformly, backing up the ridge for the sake of a perspective entirely dependent on dying to climb. Please don't imitate the moon. If you do, I know you'll disappear too soon. Well, you're here, can you remind me what Givus means? The orange in your sheen makes your health seem so well, somehow. But just send them all to hell. Find something to sell to the people on the moon. Here's our problem, thank goodness. unpredictable emotional singularity versus previously inconceivable novel combination. Shit. Until that point, everything once done has been purely innuendo. You like yeast growing on top of your back, but that's a body-like attitude, which you just happen to wear well, sweet. For Leonard Peltier, for some reason, that I made up in the car, there's every reason to write something for Leonard Peltier. What prevents a coma instantiates a comma. Let our standing corrupt the words in a different way and heal the land from the atlas of transmissibility. Tangentile, that's tangential. You make up words and you get them wrong. To stay illegitimate, no one has the right to turn inclusion into belonging. I'll show you how we can do with little action. You can put that on next time. Buy some skunk cabbages. Is this one of those indulgences not permitted under a regime? We can't even read an aleatory exception. Tune it in on us. I'm not sure how much anything was ever discovered as a main course, or why potatoes were ever not as funny as they do. That would be psychologically damaging to the cook. Whatever you always wanted, reheated the image, which is great, but I hope not while this is browsing. It's surprising, but unfortunately convenient. If I called this strike, that would do something. A bow to the pen and paper hides cold, soft, pulsing light. The old laptop's pretense to life. A silence that makes a forest grove. Among near houses and nearer graves, where the scant birds, softening bugs, sound in space. We're in the clearing of a deep sadness we'll need to share if we're to end up anywhere else. High, long whines of the dog left next door open the evening primrose. How very cultural, I think. So many nuts in boxes and bags, acorn, walnut, hickory, butternut, a day to seek oats, but in here, in qualities of quiet, cleaning, calls, that's all's coming up. I can set my legs in many ways to write. I can learn rocks and unlearn every cousin to the line. A jogger I may see again and never meet. Extended crunch of gravel. This morning a laughing debate. Who gets the chocolate milk, drinks the chocolate milk. A bird in the ash, clocks of it. Quiet human movements of the time between rains, as I keep saying into the spaces between. The knowing and denial of the new. Did I say something about hope? Food started when the inner part didn't know its shadow, the learning into star chowder. Every time the big water bug somehow made its way out of the waxed box, I didn't see it. Articles declared, small boxes of cases for nails and nuts, one from a tip jar, one from another writing, the life of my aunt and the whole family, who have so sadly asked about the devil big enough to make for so much killing. There are rivers, cold lakes, and northern shores to not waste time away from boats and books, the inside the boat. Does everything have to be doubled? And if so, now? And does it need to be language that does the doubling? Why can't it come third? Am I really in the space of a question I don't yet understand? Why was I going to walk out when this is done? Does this have to be the third? How about it is your second favorite? Why think of difference as if 100 bosoms? Just cut a piece of cake, is what I always say. Always. But our souls were in our names. Uh-oh, eraser. The question is the setting. Boat, dinghy, dining car, less elsewhere than before, by super lumpen justice sufferers, held apart by imagination. Over yonder, God slaps his thighs and kids to reinstate control, returning from laughter to mayhem, a serious time for the quotes around the quote undocumented. We were released by the sense of the immediate past as a place into which events vanish. We trained our hands to be thrown up with the fun balloons. The mute ospreys happily lost track of the point where the rails appeared to converge behind us, but we were distracted by the dry mirage. Weather being a kind of time that sets up a space unflattering as a lint ball in the navel, ruffling offered pinions, those who would have hacked into a red set to touch on tents, averting swinish dismantling of government putty. A sweeping taste for othering makes for relations. Dunes shift underfoot as surely as unpredictably as long causes hum under moon cycles, eyes glued to the certainty of some resemblance with listening to a civil society to mine. See, decisions. Strange to see. All that was related loosely, fluttering in space, which, when you are gone, will turn false and taste like you. Now it wasn't any of us then. I'll retain the claim that moist little skullcap and onion skin fell off my head, but after that, they've been on their own with my friendship and admiration. A poor animal finds out it isn't water. A poor present is so dependent on managing delay. All the people of your body description get this shit, but also get to keep it for a minute that repeats endlessly. Time comes back when the great leaks waves wick under your feet, and the moment comes when it's no longer possible to envy any of your actors. When's that? Because you're also short, I don't give you any time to develop. It sounds great.
That was just like a thing that was actually happening in my head. I was like, what a wonderful parameter to just like follow the poem, and then when the poem's like, that's it.
Okay. I'm glad.
Yeah.
This one's slightly longer. The intolerable inertia in you on such half-moon nights is okay. Candelabra mistaken for incubabulum, though, is insistently and inconsistently embarrassing. You ate in Denmark in 1540 and chose a rose petal, which sounded out at 1450 plus tip, after the boat was swallowed. Water upstairs runs through the pipes in slow, spaced-out waves. They write in sand, later for tap dancers, when the mummy's ready. That's the way I heard it through all of whatever year people were telling me about those things, when things were antsy and spry. I can't believe the price. It's not a true statement, but to say nothing, is everything live? I caught a scent of the whole last winter with you, mostly recorded on the hard floor. The friends, the desires are not the same, right as if it already happens. Commonalities, sutured love between the successive addresses of classmates, loving a word, assuming agreement about where the hell anyone is, why is there a ditch if you left? Oh, you were out wintering between succotash and hybrid neutrons of isotopes, or for calendar days replacing flowering longitude with mulch and spurts sans ice. The egg question is really not comparing apples to groceries. birthday begins a few pages from the edge, for translators only. Oh God, I had just dashed off an odyssey when some headlong and delectable passion reflected back our base tenderness we see as the other's home when I rolled your old car into the ravine. All right, one more little one. Here, past a rise from the watery rain, difficultly composing on a sort of arch. Everything a big we wanted slides off of, sending far ripples, implications, the waves broaden, become a whole pile of strategies, get less worth it. Invoke the brittle ensemble of processes, invoked when you twist the point, too fast for an ironic twist, to can a message within a final, unexpected act. Thanks so much. Thank you.